The real reason why Somali men don't claim Ajnabi kids, let me tell you, come closer, is because they're afraid. My child or my children are half Haitian. Have you seen Haitians? Imagine mixing whatever you mix to the Somali gene will automatically get rid of our muscle deficiency.
Somali women that are attracted to Ajnabi men, mostly other black Ajnabi men, such as people from Central Africa, West Africa, and their related relatives. Somali women who are attracted to these type of men do it so for two specific reasons. The first reason is that these men are in fashion when it comes to music. Their music is international. Their culture is popularized. You know what I'm trying to say? And, they are the shit. And it's not only Somali women that have a thing for these men, it's women across all cultures. And it's their time to shine. Me personally, I have no issue with that. But now is their time to shine. And it's their time to attract women from across all borders. There was a time when these men were not the most sorted out men. They were seen as the bottom of the barrel. But now it seems cultures, whether it's Asian, Arab, or white people who discriminated against them, now the women of those cultures are basically going crazy about these men. Big up to them. You know what I'm trying to say? I like to see another man get a woman. You know what I mean? Wherever that woman comes from. That's one aspect. The other aspect of Somali women being attracted to Ajnabi men is that they come from a household of single mothers. And seeing their mother struggle, seeing that their mother married a Somali man, aka their dad, and he neglected her and he left her to strive for herself, the girl from such a household will think to herself, I don't want to marry a Somali man simply because of this particular reason. And they would always think that the answer is an Ajnabi man, aka that the grass is greener on the other side. But that's not the case. It just so happens that these Somali women that eventually marry these Ajnabi men, they carry their childhood trauma with them while they go into this Ajnabi household. Since she was running away of being a single mother like her mom, she ends up like her mother, aka a single mother with two Ajnabi babies. In the same way, they have been neglected, the same way their father neglected them. This Ajnabi man neglected her and her kids. So now in this particular situation, she is a Somali mother with two Ajnabi children. If she's lucky, her family might bring her in just because they feel sorry for her. They don't want to see her struggle. But in other situations, it's not welcomed, it's not appreciated, and they are pushed away. Even if such a young lady who married an Ajnabi man and now happens to be a single mother, even if her family accept her for who she is, the entire Somali community would not. And they get stuck in a conundrum. They get stuck in this situation where her children are not Somali enough, and that wherever she goes, every Somali person, male and female, are talking behind her back. She's struggling. And then she tries her best to push these Ajnabi children towards the Somali culture. Please accept them. Please, they are Somali. Please, 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 my children are Somali. But once they get neglected and rejected, they end up showing enmity towards Somali people, mainly Somali men. Here is a question I want you to ask yourself, and of course, which I would give the answer to. Why do these Somali women who marry Ajnabi men, once they get divorced, why do they have such enmity towards Somali men? Now, let me tell you, it's not because Somali men are afraid. It's not because Somali men are less muscular and they're slim and skinny. It's not because we are afraid that our DNA and our genes will be altered and and taken over and invaded. No, 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 that's just nonsensical. That's what they tell themselves to go to sleep. That is basically their lullaby. In order for them to have a good night's sleep, that's what they sing themselves to. Somali men are weak, my children have Ajnabi DNA, they are muscular. I've changed the Somali gene. Oh, hooah, hooah. The reason why they have an issue with Somali men for the most part is because the Somali culture is a patrilineal culture. It's a culture in which relations and kinship is traced via the paternal line, aka through the father's line. Something else I forgot to mention is that apart from the Somali culture being a patrilineal culture, it's also a patriarchal culture, meaning that it's a culture from which its rulings and regulations are made and governed by men. And most of these rules and regulations are deeply rooted in religion, meaning Islamic values. When you look at Somali women that have a problem with Somali men, look at the lifestyle in which they are leading. It's mostly an Islamic. And for the most part, some of these women have left the religion. Kabish. And because of this particular reason, they hate Somali men. because in the Somali world, men are the lineage, women are the culture. Anybody can practice the Somali culture. You can be a Gambian, a Haitian, come to Somalia, practice the Somali culture, speak the Somali language, but that will not make you a Somali if you don't have a Somali ancestry. And when we say Somali ancestry, we're not talking about maternal ancestry, we're talking about paternal ancestry, not maternal, paternal, meaning not mother's line, but the father's line. This Somali patrilineal kinship involves in everything that we do, whether it's political, whether it's relational, culture, trade, it's all reliant on this kinship. Hence why when you go to Africa, the richest people in Africa are Somalis. For example, the richest community in Uganda are Somalis, the richest community in Kenya are Somalis, the richest community in Burundi are Somalis, the richest community in Ethiopia are Somalis. Because of this patrilineal relationship that we have, everything that we do involves family. And once a man or a woman breaks this tie and they begin to marry outside of the culture, then that is when they receive a particular backlash and disownment. And this might involve leaving Islam, marrying a non-Somali person, so on and so forth. Since I'm still on the topic of ancestry, if a Somali woman marries an Ajnabi man and she begets daughters for that particular Ajnabi man, then those daughters whose father is Ajnabi can claim Somali if they want to. Because according to the Somali culture, daughters don't carry the seed of the ancestry. It is the male that carries. If a Somali woman begets sons from that particular Ajnabi man, those sons carry the seed of their father. Hence, they belong to the culture and the clan and the tribe of that particular man's lineage. Therefore, your children are not Somali. And this thing about Somali men are afraid that their DNA is going to be altered and changed by a more superior Haitian, muscular, manly man. So it's not because of that. And you know it's not because of that. And you know you're lying to yourself. Come on now. Let's not play games. Let's not run in circles. I'm going to tag her name in the video so you guys can go and watch the complete video from her channel. But in the end, she says that, thank you for accepting my children. My children are Somali. My son is Somali. My daughter is Somali. Thank you for accepting it. And she's making it seem like she's playing kind of sarcastic, but it's not. We both know the main reason why you made the video is because people keep telling you that your children are not Somali, and you've taken an offense to that. Hence why you've made this video insulting Somali men or Somali people for that matter. It's ridiculous. She mentions she has a daughter. Out of her children, the only person that can pass as a Somali is the daughter, because her daughter does not carry a Haitian seed. She does not pass on her bloodline. What she does, and by the way, when I say bloodline, I'm not speaking in the medical scientific sense. I'm speaking in the sense of cultural patrilineal sense, or patrilineal ancestral sense. And of course, I do know that women pass on half of the DNA and the male passes on half of his DNA, and that's how a baby's formed from the medical perspective. But if we were to speak from a cultural and religious perspective, the ideas of lineage and bloodline and ancestry take a whole different meaning.
Whatever you mix to the Somali gene will automatically get rid of our muscle deficiency, because I've never seen men built like that. The only place I've seen men built like that is Somalia. But you know what? I'm not even hating. Love yourself. You don't need to be a big, strong man with big, manly muscles. You don't need to be that if you're a nomad, because it's good to rep our background. Nomadic men don't need to be big and strong and have muscles.
When she said that she hasn't seen other people, or mainly other Africans, built like Somalis, it just shows the depth of her ignorance. First of all, the reason why Somali men are shaped the way they are shaped is due to biological and environmental evolution. Okay? And the reason why people of Haiti are shaped that way is because of the same thing, biological and environmental evolution. The Haitian people are related to the larger Niger-Kordofian and Bantu speakers, and these people were known to be farmers. They lived in the parts of Africa where there was dense forest and continuous rainfall, hence why they were farmers. And the reason why their body is built the way it's built is because of their daily plant-based diet, because that body was made for sprinting, right? That is why people that come from East Africa and the Horn of Africa, they are long runners or long distance runners, whereby people from Central Africa, West Africa are sprinters. So sprinting is specifically made to flee, to run away from dangers, because the dense forest, rainy regions of Africa are full of wild animals and wild predators who are continuously threatening these people, in order for you to sprint quickly and faster to escape from danger. Whereby the Somali body was not made to run away from danger, it was made to run into danger, because long distance running involves long distance hunting. When you read Somali history and their relations with ancient Greek and ancient Arabia and ancient India and ancient Egypt, you find out that they used to trade a lot of animal skin, including lions, leopards, cheetahs, and all sorts of predators, and also elephant tusks and so on and so forth. So in order to achieve a successful hunting, a hunter is required to drive an animal to a state of exhaustion, continuously running after them and not giving them the time to rest. And eventually, the animal is, like I said, driven to a state of exhaustion. They can't even take another step to run to save their lives. And that's when the hunters will come, wrestle the wild animal, and unalive that particular wild animal. You see the difference? These are the two different types of bodies. Number two, the reason why the Somali body is shaped the way it's shaped is because Somalis have 50 to 60% of Nilotic DNA. When you go to Northeast Africa, you would find Nilotic people who are known to live by the Nile, dark-skinned, really tall and slim people. And guess what? They practice the same form of hunting. We carry 50 to 60% Nilotic DNA and 50 to 45% Eurasian DNA. Because of these two genes, our slim and slenderness came from the Nilotic gene inside us. And our facial features, such as the alkaline nose, soft hair, and sharp features, come from the other 40 or 50% of Eurasian DNA. Okay, other people that are related to the Somali people are the Maasai. The Maasai also carry a massive amount of Nilotic DNA because Maasais are, to some extent, Nilotic people. However, the Maasai also carry certain proportions of Cushitic DNA, and it is said that most Maasais carry about 5 to 10% Somali DNA. And interestingly enough, the Maasai people still practice the form of hunting that I just talked about. They hunt lions, they hunt cheetahs, leopards, all types of animals. Sometimes they would watch a lion kill a deer, and then once the deer is caught and killed, they would chase away the lion and take its food. And when you look at the Maasai people, they are skinnier and slimmer and more slender than the Somali people. Now, speaking of masculinity and weakness and having muscular bodies and so on and so forth, let's do a historical comparison. The Somali people fought with the Portuguese during the 14th and 15th century. In fact, Vasco da Gama, the great European conqueror, was injured and escaped with his life while fighting the Sultanates of Mogadishu, aka the Ajuran. And his grandson was unalived in northern Somalia. Now, this same guy, this same Vasco da Gama, is the same guy that went to West Africa and other coastal African regions, enslaved all of those Africans, and began selling them to the Americas. One of the descendants of those enslaved people were the Haitians. And in this particular period, the Haitians were still muscular, they were still strong, but their muscle and strength did nothing for them.
You don't need to be a big, strong man with big, manly muscles. You don't need to be that if you're a nomad, you know, because it's good to rep our background. Nomadic men don't need to be big and strong and have muscles, you know, but Haitian men?
So when push came to shove, their muscles and strength and bulkiness did nothing for them, unfortunately. So if muscles would do anything, it would have saved them from such tragedies. The Haitian people are still under the subjugation of Western power still today. She spoke about Basta Ibrisi Hilib. It's hard to resist. 100%, it's hard to resist.
The Baris, the Basto, sometimes it's actually impossible to resist. I get it, trust me.
Basto and Bris, that is the food of royalty in Haiti. Because according to a lot of documentaries I've watched, unfortunately, and God save these people, they eat mud cakes. A Somali would die hunger than eat mud cake. So you cannot compare two uncomparable nations. We're not comparable. I am ancient. In fact, the first two African civilizations to start in Africa were ancient Egypt and the land of Punt. The first two African civilizations, the land of Punt being us. When you go to Asia, you would find Somali influence. When you go to Arabia, you would find Somali influence. When you go to Oman, you would find Somali influence. When you go to Morocco, you would find Somali influence. East Africa, Central Africa, Somali influence. I'm not comparable, so stop comparing me. And having Ajnabi kids and marrying Ajnabi men, that's a you problem. It's not a us problem. You know, you should have thought about it before you've done it. Sometimes the grass is not always greener on the other side. But that's all I've got to say. Thank you for watching. And please don't forget to like, share, and comment your opinions in the comment section. Peace.